Okay, so welcome everyone on today's Metal3 Community meeting. Please uh, remember that this meeting is being recorded, and today is Wednesday, 2nd of February 2022. And as always, let's start with the introductions. So if there would be new participants in this meeting who have been not participating earlier, please introduce yourself if you want. Okay, I think there are nobody who would do that. Can all of you hear me? Right?
Yes.
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 Okay, perfect. So then let's continue with the agenda. The first is agenda point is from me. It is related to something that with Dimitri and Zain we discussed on this PR on the last community meeting. It brought to my attention that the timing is incorrect in the Metal3 docs documentation page, and it's because we use UTC time, and this does not account for the daylight saving times, and we have not changed it yet to the correct one. But then when I changed it, we started to discuss that is UTC the correct format for us, or should we rather write it as EET, or should we provide both an EET or an EST time for the meeting? So the discussion is not about that when should we have the meeting, but that what format should the time be in in the documentation. So from my side, I'm fine with it either ways. If we leave it in UTC, then from time to time we have to change it 1 hour forward or 1 hour back. If we provide the EET and the EST times, as most of the developers are in this time zone, then that could also pose problems for people. So what is your opinion about this?
I think we just need to be consistent and like pick a time zone and stick with it, which is not what we've done in the past. Like in the past, everyone, as I said in that comment, like everyone gets surprised when daylight saving changes somewhere, and then we go change the time zone. So I think the issue is that the 1300 UTC does not work in the US in the northern winter. And the US has a longer daylight saving than the EU. So trying to remember what that means. Basically, it has to be either UTC, either 1400 UTC all year round, which means it changes when your daylight saving changes, or in US time. I think those are the two options that don't result in the meeting sometimes being at like 8 a.m. So I guess the question is for people in Europe, would 1400 UTC still work for you in the summer? And if not, maybe we should leave it in US time.
from my side, I'm fine with the 1400 UTC. Yeah, but this cannot be decided between the two of us, so we would really need like some input on this from everybody.
Yeah, okay. Maybe take this to mailing list then. And whatever we decide, we should update the meeting invitation so the time zones match. So at least everyone has in their calendar the right time, even if they can't make it.
Yeah, I agree. I personally prefer the meeting not to move, except this twice 2 weeks where everything is crazy. So UTC would be suboptimal for me. But I also understand that people may perceive UTC as easier to understand.
Yeah, the good part about UTC is when the meeting time changes, it's because your local daylight saving time changed. And you generally know about when your local daylight saving time has changed. I do because my kids wake me up at like 6 a.m.
I guess it's because of kids, I always forget.
Oddly, like in both directions. No matter which direction it changes in, they still wake me up at 6 a.m. But it's very hard to keep track of like where daylight saving time is changing somewhere else in the world as well as where it is for you. So that's the annoying thing about picking a local time zone. But yeah. But on the other hand, it means that that the time is mostly fixed apart from like a couple of weeks around when the EU and the US are in different daylight saving things. I think the real solution here is to make daylight saving permanent all year round everywhere. And then we don't have to deal with this ever again. Can somebody do that, please?
+1 for that.
Yes, please.
Yes, +1 for me.
Okay, well, I would say then don't spend more time on this. Then obviously the local won't work, the local time zone. So yeah. Okay. I will leave it at that. The next one is also from we, that should we allow forks in the Metal3 project. Now, what I mean under this is there are two repositories here that are forks, but not so that are forks of like other GitHub projects. And for example, there is this Ansible role Golang. I am not sure that do we need this here in the Metal3 and also we have one other that might be a bit more reasonable, but also again I'm not sure. That's again a fork. It's again fork from a personal fork or like a personal repo. So
yeah, so that's the ironic agent image one is just a project that Dimitri started and then he moved it into the org, and GitHub decides that that's a fork. So it does belong in the org. Why GitHub insists on being difficult, I don't really know, but yeah, that one's not too much to worry about. The Ansible role one, I don't know what that was used for. It must have been something in CI. I have to think that it's probably no longer required, but
It's used in Metal3 Defense, I think.
is it okay? Like I bet that whatever change we had to put in there to get it to work is probably upstream by now.
Yeah, that's that is what. Okay, so this might be used in the MetaCube dev. If we, how should I see that? What was the, like, it's a very old fork, so it's like from 2019, and I see that I assume this was the modification.
Yeah,
here.
it's that one patch on top of whatever was upstream.
This is very okay. I can.
Sorry, actually, I'm looking at Metal3 Defense code right now. We don't seem to be using our fork. The only mention of Ansible or Golang is github.com/foobarhouse, which I guess is upstream for that.
Yeah, that's
maybe our fork is unused.
Yeah, so this is then a potential candidate for either we archive it or remove it, because then we don't need this fork. Now, I don't really, I'm not doing this because it's like any big problem, but it would be easier if we would have a clear picture that what's in the project and what's not. Just recently, I have found one thing that, for example, was archived already here, but wasn't archived in the Nordics. So yeah, I started to look for these small things. Okay, so would it be okay if we would archive this, in your opinion, in this fork of ours?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I think archive is an intention to remove it eventually.
Okay, let me just write it down. So we have this one that we could remove or archive.
Yeah, we stopped using it in 2019. I see commit by Karim.
Okay, that's good. That's good that we agreed on this. I think that there was no major like weirdness that I would have found. I collected five repositories that like at least the people from the Nordics organization are not ever or like we never worked on that, and I will bring those to your attention next time, just to ask about them. I forget to write them into the agenda or write up those. But I remember that we have this discussion about this Helm chart 2 months before, maybe even a half a year ago, and it's still not really used. And what would you think, as on the community level, that should we bring the Meta Cube project into the direction that we support a Helm chart, or no? It's quite a lot of work, in my opinion, to do it correctly and keep it up to date. Because if not, if we come to the agreement that we would not ever support us like as the project members chart, then we should not offer this, because this will cause problems in the future.
I agree, and I think it was Miko actually raised this topic half a year ago. So I think people from Deutsche Telekom are using that, and they even have a pull request to significantly rework this thing. That being said, we cannot keep it in Metal3 if we don't have some permanent contributors maintaining it. So not just an accidental person who may be using Metal3 in production, but is not a permanent contributor. But some people actually come and say, okay, we're going to maintain it long term as part of the community with all the community process releases and stuff. I don't really see this happening. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the problem is that Deutsche Telekom's like actual deployment is completely different from what we want to recommend to anybody else. And they're the only ones using this thing. Like, apart from that pull request, it's like hasn't been touched in 2 or 3 years. So what's there cannot work, I'm sure. And what they're doing is a completely different thing that is not Metal3 as we know it. And I don't see a Helm chart ever actually being the right way to deploy this. Like, I think it would be really cool if we had like an operator that could handle deployments of different kinds. Like, you could say, and we don't support this today, but like, you know, you could say, I want to run multiple conductors, or because I need to scale out to a big cloud, or I only need one. Like, having an operator that could manage that stuff would be really cool. But a Helm chart's never going to be able to get that level of complexity, I don't think. So yeah, I really don't see a future for the Helm charts in the project, and I kind of think we should probably like archive them now before anyone else gets the idea that they might work, because I really doubt that 2-year-old stuff does work. And I don't think we should be encouraging people to install like RabbitMQ and stuff like send that pull request.
Yeah, I doubt as well. The other option we could suggest as a person from, I assume, Deutsche Telekom, to transfer this repository to Das Schiff organization or wherever they want.
Yeah, that'd be fun.
Mm-hmm.
But it's GitHub, right? There's nothing stopping them from doing that today.
Forking is possible. We can completely transfer, so just change ownership.
Oh, okay, well, yeah. I think if they fork and then we archive, then that's effectively the same thing.
Okay, let me just write it down. We have no plans to support a official chart for Metal3. Not even specifically Helm3, but Helm chart for the Metal3. Telecom D has one PR, but we should ask them to either close or move.
Sorry, while you are typing, I may ask Zane maybe, how hard would it be to create an upstream not OpenShift specific version of cluster bare metal operator? Speaking of operators.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know. I think there's a lot in it that is OpenShift specific. It wouldn't really work as like just forklifted into upstream, unfortunately. How much work it would be, I don't know, to try and fork that in a way that was upstream friendly. It also doesn't do much of the stuff that I was talking about. Like, we don't have multiple deployment topologies. We don't have like scale out or anything like that. So I guess the benefits to upstream of that at the moment would be pretty limited. I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, possibly. Well, if somebody actually wanted to create an operator to handle multiple topologies, starting from an existing project would be certainly much easier than from scratch.
Yeah, that's true.
And honestly, I like the operator approach somewhat more than deployment YAML files approach and customize approach that we have upstream now. But that may be a personal preference.
Okay, well, I was just wondering that I haven't checked it, that what do we offer for operators? I mean, like people who would deploy it in production on in either in the raw form or as part of the like OpenShift. But were at any point in time like discussion about supporting some sort of deployment process, like, okay, we want support Helm that we just discussed, but other deployment methods, or just, or what is the state right now? I'm just asking it for myself because I haven't checked that.
Sorry, I didn't quite capture. What's exactly the question?
That if like I'm a completely external actor, like somebody who's looking for the similar functionality that Metal3 offers, then where would this person find documentation about like a modern way of deploying the Metal3, like an up-to-date way that's scalable and usable in like a production environment, like not just in a development environment, but if I would like want to use it for a home lab or some bigger deployment, because personally I always just check the development documentation related to this. So when I do something with it, I use the devenv and so on. But if I would like to like operate this as part of something bigger, some normal Kubernetes deployment.
I mean, I think the manifest in the repos in the CapM3 and bare metal operated repos are fine. It's definitely not scalable in the sense of scales to 10,000 plus nodes. But I don't think that exists anywhere. Maybe the Deutsche Telekom one does because they use Rabbit and all that stuff. But yeah, if you want to scale to that kind of level, then it's there's probably nothing around for you. But you know, the deployment topology we're using in OpenShift is not dissimilar to what the manifests in bare metal operator have, as far as I understand. And we've tested that with like 1,000 nodes, and that's kind of enough for us for now. But I mean, we don't use those manifests directly. We use, like Dimitri said, we have our own operator to deploy ironic and stuff. But yeah, I think that the stuff that's in the repos, the stuff that we're using for development, is probably adequate for almost all purposes.
Okay, that's fine. That answers my question. Sorry if it was a bit convoluted. Okay, then next topic is this testing the live ISO.
So we may actually come back to the previous question for a second, since it's my slot anyway. So the default answer is what Zane said. We have deployment scripts, they're fine. We maybe maybe we should provide something like Ansible playbooks to automate everything and converge everything into a few options. But that's what at least we do upstream in Ironic, because we've realized that installing Ironic from scratch is not exactly a wonderful task that people will be able to do safely. So we provide this thing called Bifrost, which is a bunch of playbooks to install Ironic in an opinionated way. Now, Metal3 is opinionated already, so maybe it's not a huge deal because we have containers that encapsulate a lot of choices for the operator. So maybe just deployment script is fine. It was just a bit of philosophical note.
Oh, I see. Thanks.
This is live ISO. So we had a chat downstream and we realized that live ISO workflow is something we test downstream, but we may stop depending on how OpenShift evolves. And there's no testing upstream, which is in Metal3. So this is a pretty separate code path. I think it would be good to at least run a job on BMO to make sure it still works. Michael actually volunteered. I think he volunteered to help, right? If I understood your response.
Yeah, I left a message on the mailing list about this. Yeah, I can take a look. I think it's worth doing.
That would be wonderful. Thank you. I guess it's just mostly heads up. Like we should test that. Maybe something really lightweight, maybe without installing a full Kubernetes.
Yeah, that sounds very good. I think this one, because we will do triaging soon today. This one ties into that because, as I understood today's one of the discussions was that we actually lost support for the live ISO at some point between the releases. So and because of that we have now an issue here. So is there anything to the topics, and would anybody like to add something to the topics? Because if not, then we can continue with the triaging, and we will also hit again this topic of the live ISO. And now actually the triaging labels actually now work. So I checked, and thanks to Furkat and Feruz, we basically have normal triaging labels and automation. So now the newly created issues get this needs triaging label. So let's start with the Metal3 docs. I checked this before. There is not much to do here other than if you'd like to write documentation, you can pick up any of the free ones. There's nothing to triage here. So I think we can continue. The next one is the Metal3 dev. So there I have actually seen a discussion that's new, a new topic. And we can discuss this, but one thing that I tested here is that custom labeling through the bot is still not working. We still have to fix that because, as you can see from the error message, it's simply we don't have a list of supported labels that you can like label with the bot command. So Dimitri, maybe would you like to?
Sorry, Adam, what do you mean by bot command? Because these labels, the kind labels are not supported in Prow, so that's why you see this message. We only added the triage labels.
Yeah, I understand that kind has a list that it can run, but there is a command called label in Prow, similar to priority or any other, and later we should configure this to have a list of supported labels. So not just when you type kind something or priority something, but when you would like to add a label that's specific to the project.
Well, yeah, that needs to be added. That's a new labels then.
Yeah, exactly. That's a new thing. That's not a problem with the thing that you and Ferus configured. That's just an additional thing.
Sure, I will take a look on this.
Yeah. So thanks, and as I understood, this might be something that the community has to like discuss also. Dimitri, maybe.
Sure. So the crux of it that we're still in between of the migration from using MariaDB by default to not using MariaDB by default, and I guess the confusion was around the fact that some BMO stuff uses MariaDB, some does not, which only means that I haven't got to it, honestly, because I started looking at deployments files and I realized that I don't understand customize really well. So that confusion will probably be solved. Now, a good question to come out of this, or if not even a question, a statement, we should probably keep supporting MariaDB as an option. For the case that Zane described, where you have to have multiple conductors and you need a real database to share information between them. You don't really need RabbitMQ, by the way, Zane. We can do it just on JSON or PC just as well, but you do need a database in this case. So we should maintain MariaDB image. We should probably have optional deployment files in BMO that deploy with MariaDB. That's why, by the way, I want to remove the option to disable authentication. That's simply too many options already. And maybe we should test that in the CI, but that boils down to how many CI resources we have to test stuff and how flexible they are so that we could test different deployment combinations.
Okay. I was wondering that should I do something with this ticket? Because yeah, there's a discussion, you discussed it here and you brought it to the community. So I'm wondering that in case that there are these question tickets that are basically not bugs, not new features. I try to label it as question, but I can't at the moment. I'm wondering that should we put here something?
So my suggestion would be to close this in favor of a new ticket saying provide CI coverage for optional MariaDB or something like that.
Okay.
Because I think I've answered the question that was there.
And what was the suggestion? I will link it later here and I will note it down here. So new ticket. Could you please repeat it?
Yeah, I'll type it so you can move on.
Okay, thanks.
Just paste the link to this ticket.
Yeah. I will then close it when we have that ticket. Okay, and I will link it here. Okay, so that one is triage now. Thank you for the help. And that was, I think, the last part. No, that's also new. Leonard, are you here?
Yeah, sorry. So this basically comes from the work me and Mohammed and maybe some others have also been doing on improving the upgrade tests. So we really move from like take an old release, install that, and then do the upgrade to the latest or something like that. In this, like several small awkward things have come up. Like Metal3 Devenv is obviously built for development and also for like testing the very latest things. But for upgrades, it gets a bit strange, or how should I put it? When we want to do, we want to deploy an old release, that works fine. We just set the variables and we go with that. But then when we want to do the upgrade, we basically have to redo whatever is done in Metal3 Devenv to like do things like build the code at that point and push images to the local registry and so on. And what I'm trying to get to with this issue is basically that I think we could try to I don't know, maybe break up the Metal3 Devenv a bit and basically try to improve the platform we have for testing. So I see three broad things that I have there under the issues, like moving between versions, what images are used, and running the latest code from with all the releases. The moving between versions was basically what I just talked about, that we start from one version, move to another. So Metal3 Devenv is good for installing one version, but we don't really move from one to another. That would be the whole upgrade test then. I'm not sure what to do about it exactly, but I think we could do some things if we look a bit into it. The second one is, I think that would be easier and pretty useful. So right now, I can't really tell when looking at a CI job, what images are we using? Like there is a load of logs, and I can go through and see like, okay, we set this image variable to something, to a Git repo maybe. Then I can see that it's built at some point. Then we push it or tag it as latest, for example, and push it to the local registry during the CI run. But it's really hard to tell like which images are we actually building from source in this pipeline, which are we just grabbing from already built images, and like see the difference there. So it's extremely easy to miss things. Say that a bug was introduced somewhere that caused us not to build the images, we wouldn't really notice. I mean, it would look just the same. It looks like we are always using images that are like the IP of the local registry / image name / latest or like colon latest or something like that. I think what I would want instead basically is that we tag the images based on what they are. Like if we are using a pre-built image, we should try to use a tag that signifies this, or it should be possible to see that, okay, this one we are just fetching from a proxy registry or something, and this other one is built locally. Yeah, and while doing that, I think it would also make sense to split out image building from the rest of the CI job. So it's not just one big lump, but like in Jenkins, we could see that, okay, now we are building the images, pushing them, and then we move on to the next thing where we actually test them. Yeah, I think it would probably be quite a lot of work, but I think this would be really good to get done. Yeah, thoughts on this?
Yeah, please go ahead. I will note this down because it's more like a complete proposal here.
Yeah.
No problem if you would not capture the whole of it. I know that Leonard and Mohammed worked a lot recently with on upgrades. If you are interested, I would say CC yourself here or start follow this issue. I would say it's a good place to discuss like this issue, this proposal already here. And if this gets some traction from the community, then at any time, Leonard, please bring this up on the community meeting, because I think it's not like single, it cannot be like decided or really discussed in a single sitting, but this looks very
Absolutely.
important to me. Yeah, I agree with you.
Yeah, I basically just wanted to start the discussion that I think we should think about how we want to use the Metal3 dev, especially if we are moving to these E2E tests that then live in CapM3 repo. Then it becomes even more important to have like a clear boundary. What are we doing in Metal3 dev and what are we doing in CapM3?
Okay, I will put here later a priority label and a kind label. Thanks, but we are quite short on time, so I will go forward if that's not a problem. This you yourself have already categorized as a bug. Would you need support from somebody on this?
No, I think this is okay. I'm not sure if did I already. There was no pull request for this yet. No. But yeah, it's a bug. I'm not sure if or when I will have time to work on it, but yeah, I'll probably pick it up at some point.
Would it be a problem if I would later like label it with help wanted, and then maybe that?
Oh, absolutely, that would be fine. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Metal3 dev has been finished. I will label this up later. These were all reported before we had the correct triaging label. And now here, I think this is correctly showing what's new. I think this was prioritized, yes. So this is the new one, and it already shows the automation that we have set up. And this is a question that I honestly don't really know the answer to. So it's help wanted, and is there somebody who I could assign to help this person with the question?
Yeah, you can assign me to that one.
Okay. Did I hear correctly, Zane? You were the one who.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Okay. Let's go. Did it not assign you or CC'd you? Huh. Okay, weird. I will check it later. So you could help him. Here, that's all. We checked everything last time in the Metal3. we have this one. This was the thing that I was mentioning, that we actually lost support for the live ISO, and this is something that I'm not sure that we started to fix with the EST team. This is, I would say, this is high priority because we would start working on testing with the live ISO, and it's obviously a bug, as Ferus has already mentioned. Would somebody like to work on it or participate on work related to this, or should we just handle this inside the EST team, or should just Ferus handle this himself?
I think we can, anyone can maybe work on this, and maybe you can put a triage accepted already, since I checked it and we don't have that backported properly. Like when we create the new API version in CapM3, that's missed, so we have to add it. But yeah, whoever is interested, they can pick it up.
Okay, nice. Okay, this one, this I think we checked the last time. I would even say this can be closed because the default has been changed to main. I'm not sure why. Yeah, it's quite old, so this one can be closed. Is it enabled? Nice, good. And then these ones are being already worked on. Yeah, I checked them, and one is prioritized. Yeah, okay. And then the last one is project infra. And this has been, the last one is triage accepted, and is this?
Yeah, I'm working on this already. So no need to check really.
Yeah, okay. Although this one is relatively new, but yeah, the automation didn't pick up on this.
Yeah, this could be help wanted maybe, or well, yeah, anyone that has time. We noticed that we don't collect the logs from init containers. We do from all the normal containers, but if an init container gets stuck for some reason, we don't know why, basically. So it would be nice to get those logs also.
Okay, so this will be technically a feature request, a help wanted, and a priority backlog, right? Or it has.
Yeah, sounds good.
Sounds good. Okay.
Maybe even if we have something for like a good first issue or something, it should be pretty straightforward.
Okay, thanks. I will add that. Okay. I think that's all. Tell me if I have skipped something. I try to hurry up. I will put there the labels, all of the labels later based on the video. So I think that's all. Thank you all, and thank you for this proposal, Leonard. I will read it more carefully and then think about it a bit. And also, I think we will have this new ticket. Yeah, so thank you all. If you have anything that you'd like to recommend related to the meeting format other than the time, so if you would like to see something changed, please feel free to speak up.
One thing maybe if I can add is previously when we did a issue triage, we had some sort of filter that or link that automatically filters all the issues that are left without any comments or not triaged. So maybe instead of going to each and every repo one by one, we could maybe use that next time. Maybe I'll send the link on the chat so you have a more idea on that.
Okay, thanks. I will check that out. Anything really related to this triage? I'm quite new to this, and also it's now a bit messy because the automation just started to work now. So some of these are way older issues. Okay, anything else? Okay, if not, I think that's all. And thank you for your. Wait a minute. I see that there are chat messages. Okay, yeah. So thank you for the attendance, and I will see you next week. And yeah, have a nice rest of the day, everybody.
Thank you, and thanks for hosting.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.